Hello Libra, Libra Rising and Libra Moon people. This is your monthly astrological horoscope for May 2017. And a quick reminder, if you guys remember, these horoscopes are all about the big sweeping angles and sweeping shifts that go on throughout the month. And none of them really last for just one day. If you are looking for shorter term angles, you might want to check out your weekly astrology horoscopes that I put up. The first half is exclusively astrology, for those of you who prefer astrology exclusively. And of course, if you ever want to get a session with me, you can always follow the links below, or go to integrativemysticism.com. So what is going on with May? Well, May is a much calmer month, I think, than we've seen all year, for simply the fact that a lot of these planets are kind of remaining at home in the signs that they are. It's more of a catch-up month, more of an easy breezy month, certainly more so than April and March. And you're going to notice that there's, kind of, again, a lot of long-standing themes, but that is an opportunity to take your time. We've got Venus in your 7th house of partnerships all month long in the area that, remember, governs your closest one-on-one relationships. That's your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, BFF, roommate, business partner, anyone that you share all that close time with. And with Venus in your 7th house, it's time to attract more love and more loyalty back into that space, bring peace back into that space. Some of you Libras may have been having to confront issues of, mood swings, insecurity, paranoia, all the stuff that Venus retrograde tends to bring up as sort of like the personal problems in an interpersonal relationship. And Venus right now is kind of making up for lost time. She's out of her shadow period, she's kind of doing a lot of the cleanup for whatever happened during her retrograde bender. We also have Venus, working really hard on attracting people to become closer in that closer one-on-one way. If you've been having a hard time pulling certain folks out of the crowd, getting more time in one-on-one situations, possibly for romance or possibly just to simply get closer, break the ice, this is what Venus is going to be working on all month for you. You're going to be noticing a lot of interesting happenstances, both planned and unplanned, where you and perhaps even somebody who's just a crush or just a dating partner at this point in time is finally going to be more available to, again, break away from the crowd, break away from the distractions, and start having these one-on-one relationship opportunities discussed. And if you've been feeling like you've been too busy, well, you will be given the time. We also have Mars in Gemini in your 9th house of higher education, government legal proceedings, travel, multicultural exposure, personal, mental, and spiritual expansion, and even broadcasting. All month it's in there. And what Mars is doing is it's championing your cause. It's sticking up for you this month. Do you have a situation where you kind of need that extra help in order to push some kind of initiative forward in these areas? Maybe you need some kind of backup or backing in a school endeavor. Maybe we're trying to get some kind of legal assistance or some kind of assistance that, will help you clear some kind of major hurdle, whether it is for travel, or maybe it's, maybe we're trying to get a passport, we're trying to get a visa, maybe we're trying to get into the school of our choice, change school programs, maybe we're trying to get into an internship. If you need someone to back you up in a legal situation, maybe we're thinking about changing representation, maybe we're thinking about initiating. Mars tends to stick up for people who go on the offensive, so to speak, during this time. Okay, so you have a lot of that backup going for you. And for those of you who are, maybe you don't feel like the 9th house resonates with you, it is a cadent house, which means it is very situational. Mars can still back you up in other ways, especially if you need people to start spreading the word for anything. So for those of you who are like, I don't have any of that going on, even though it's general horoscope, I will strain to try and make it personal. And I think that with Mars in the 9th, again, if you need other people to kind of go out and do that work for you, again, whether it's spread the good word, broadcast, you got it. On the 3rd of the month, we do have Mercury turning direct in Aries in your 7th house of partnerships, again, that one-on-one relationship sector. And we are actually spending a lot of time between the 3rd and the 15th patching up some communication faux pas or communication meltdowns that may have been happening in recent weeks and months between you and a close one-on-one relationship. You may also be finding that with Mercury direct, we are speeding up the development of some kind of project or some kind of big goal that you have already with a partner or prospective partner. Whether it's finally getting a business launched, moving into a new place, maybe we're thinking about, becoming official and declaring it, Maybe we're thinking about bringing in a new partner to help us with a project or help us, or maybe even move into our home, again, like a new roommate or a tenant situation. Mercury between the 3rd and the 15th is going to be hurrying these communications along, and it's all about, Libra, again, getting away from the boundaries that keep us from our closeness. That's like the big theme, but especially between the 3rd and the 15th. On the 10th, we've got a full moon. Okay, we've got a full moon in Scorpio in your 2nd house of earned income. And a lot of you Libra people may be finding a reason to quit a job, or maybe even quit providing a service that you normally do. When we have a full moon in our earned income sector, what usually happens is we complete an era. And this can be, again, a better job opportunity that you might even just surprisingly take and say, okay, goodbye. Some of you may actually be walking away from an opportunity during this time because you found something better. People do tend to put in their notice during a full moon energy, especially between the 10th and the 25th of the month. Some of you may also find that you are clearing some kind of major bill, or that there may be some kind of big end at the office, big end in work. A rival, a boss, a colleague we don't necessarily get along with could also be disappearing, making things a lot easier for you. Okay, it's definitely not a bad moon. On the 15th of the month, we've got Mercury moving all the way up into Taurus, into your 8th house of shared resources and passive income. And this really does kind of turn what starts off as a bit more of a love month into more of a money month. So when Mercury moves into the 8th house for the rest of the month, from the 15th on, we've got him actually spending more time speeding up the acquisition of funds and of money and of resources outside your normal salary or hourly income. We also see this, again, pushing forward for a lot of people who are, maybe you're trying to start a business, maybe you're trying to get a business launched, or a new project or a new plan off the ground that is something much more personal to you. This is also great for those of you who may have a partner or a spouse who has been looking for new work themselves. This will speed up progress for them and bring in more funds to the household or to the partnership passively through them throughout the duration of the end of this month. Mercury in the 8th does indicate a need to be paying attention to where we are sharing too much or sharing too little. Whatever that balance is obviously depends on your other signs. I don't know what your rising sign is, unless you're Libra rising, then I know for sure right now. But keep an eye on how these things are discussed and how those responsibilities are shared, especially in the last 2 weeks of this month. On the 20th, we've got the Sun moving into Gemini, into that area of higher education, travel, expansion, and followed almost immediately by a new moon in that 9th house as well on the 25th. And the last couple of weeks of this month are so heavily focused on breaking you out of your comfort zone, because that comfort zone has become a bit of a rut. It's kind of like the hermit crab growing out of his or her shell. When we have these areas, there might be some kind of big wake-up call, some kind of big shift in your understanding of either where you want to go in your education. Some of you may be thinking that maybe you want to change majors, you want to change universities. Some of you may be thinking about exploring other religions, other spiritual practices and spiritual paths. There may be sometimes with the new moon in the 9th house, you may find that the wake-up call comes from, a place or a culture, or from a person that is completely foreign to you. But again, it's a big world out there. With the Sun and the new moon together, though, it's actually a very harmonious connection, especially at the end of the month, especially for those of you who've been looking on taking some kind of special pilgrimage, or again, working on expanding your cultural horizons. There will be a lot of pushes for that and a lot of extra power, and especially for those of you who already are in a spiritual path, this may be a new tool for your toolbox or a new reference for your spiritual understanding. So it gets very, very woo-woo at the end of the month for the Libra people. So that is your horoscope. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. And of course, if you ever want to get a session, you can always follow the links below, or go to integrativemysticism.com.